Hi, it's me, Mike Simpson, chef owner of the Clipper Inn in Clayton, New York. We're doing another cooking video in COVID-19 times. This is going to be a Sicilian cauliflower dish. I think you're going to like it. It's a pasta dish. We made some adjustments on it, but let's talk about what we're going to put in this dish. Well, cauliflower, of course. We've got some shiitake mushrooms, cremini mushrooms. We've got garlic and onion. We've got a little tomato paste and some grape tomatoes, anchovies, Parmesan cheese, and a little basil. We're using vegetable stock today, salt and olive oil, and our lovely garlic chili paste. Nice label, huh? So let's get to it. So to make this video more enjoyable for everybody involved, why don't you, after I say this, shut the video off and go to the fridge and get a bottle of wine, pour yourself a glass, and have some, and then start up the video again. It'll be way more fun. So the first thing we're going to do is cut up the cauliflower. I've got, I think it's around 12 ounces of cauliflower, but I'll put it in the recipe. So we're going to cut the cauliflower into really small flowerets. The recipe actually called for them to be really cut up like rice, but I think we're going to leave them a little larger for some consistency. So what I'm thinking is stuff cut up like about that size. I don't really want to get much bigger than that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And we're going to actually brown this cauliflower in some hot oil, and I think it'll give it a nice color. And as you have heard before, I'm sure, on cooking videos and shows, color means flavor. Well, the cauliflower is done now. I'll put that in a bowl and set it aside for a minute, and we're going to start on the mushrooms. I'll do the creminis first. I washed these off already, and I kind of like to cut the dry end off the mushroom. I feel like they've been out and exposed to the air for a long time, so I usually cut the ends off. I'm going to just quarter these because they're going to go in the food processor. Both types of mushrooms will get cut up. I might cut this one twice here. They're both going to end up going through the food processor to sort of add a dimension to the meal. It's going to add a little dimension to the meal, sort of meaty, when those mushrooms are sauteed. This is going to be a vegetarian dish, except I'm using anchovies in it today. If you didn't want to do that, I would suggest sauteing the mushrooms with a little bit of soy sauce. I think that would give this dish a great flavor, and it would keep it vegetarian. Shiitakes next. With shiitakes, you always have to cut the stems off. They just aren't going to get tender at all. They're going to stay tough the whole time. So we'll cut the stems off all these shiitakes. I think I've got about 6 ounces here. I think it was about 8 ounces of the regular mushroom, 6 ounces of shiitake. And then I'm just going to cut these into quarters. And then they're going to go in the processor. The shiitakes are all done. I'm going to put them in a little bowl here to deal with in a few minutes. Onion, we're going to dice it pretty fine. The onion and the mushrooms are really going to be kind of like the meaty part of the dish. They're going to be cut up small. They'll be sort of like what the ground beef would be in a pasta dish. So we're going to keep these pretty small. Some nice little grape tomatoes. They're going to have great flavor. Cut them up nice and small. Tomatoes are done. Now to the garlic. Just going to cut the ends off. Actually, on a knife. I like this. Loosen up the skins. You might have seen this before. Just gonna put them in saran wrap, pound them, and chop them up, because as you might know, I hate a garlic press. Next ingredient, anchovies. My wife is winking at me. I told her to. We're going to use, oh wow, they're rolled up. I wasn't expecting that. We're going to use about half of the can for this recipe. They're cute little things. I'm going to kind of mince it right up. Little capers in there, that'll be wonderful. I've just got one of the half-ounce packages of basil that you find in the produce department at the store, because this time of year there is not a lot of basil around here, but this is actually pretty good looking basil. It's all green, no brown. Beautiful. So there we go. Trim it up.
Smells great.
Yeah, it smells really good. Next, we're going to do the shiitake. I'm sorry, we're going to do the cremini mushrooms. We'll get to the shiitakes. Shiitakes for real this time. Pulse a few times. Just like that. It's my biggest fan, Max. He's waiting for me to drop food because I'm always spilling stuff on the floor. And he loves it. My son said we had to get Max into the video because my son is a huge fan of the Max. Our next move is onions, a little olive oil. Saute the onions probably for about 5 minutes. I've got the onions in a fairly large pan. I would rather, if I was just sauteing onions, I wouldn't use this big a pan because they're going to tend to burn a little bit. Let's see, just a little salt on there. Beautiful. So in order to keep them from burning, I'm going to add a little water and cover them, and that'll keep everything just the way we want it. Cauliflower here, I'm going to put that in with a little vegetable oil I had left over from our little Spanish project. There, that's plenty. So this pan is going to be pretty hot. I want the cauliflower to get some nice color. Couple of shakes of salt there. I think the cauliflower is starting to get some nice color. The onions have softened up nicely. They look great. I'm going to add a little more olive oil because the mushrooms really are going to want to absorb that oil. So there's probably another 3 tablespoons of oil. We'll throw the garlic in. And I can see that we're going to need a little more oil too. There's the, oh yeah, that might be my glass of wine. my lovely assistant is, what are you doing with my wine? So yeah, let's do a little more oil there. This is a Sicilian dish, so one of the things that I would normally go to would be some butter, sauteing onions and mushrooms, but that's not the right thing for this recipe. It's pretty much got to be olive oil. The mushrooms have cooked 10 or 12 minutes. I'm going to throw in the grape tomatoes. Let that go for about 2 or 3 minutes. So now we're going to add about a cup of vegetable stock. I've got a cup and a half in here, but we'll just start with a cup for now. Kind of scrape off the darkened bits on the bottom, which are going to add some wonderful flavor. Beautiful. I'm going to add the anchovies now. And I've got about a tablespoon of tomato paste. Our wine bottle is empty. Why don't they make wine bottles bigger so there's enough for 2 people? Okay, the pasta water is boiling. We're going to use penne for this dish. I'm going to put the whole pound in. My videographer left for a couple minutes. I was really wondering what was going to happen, but she came back with another bottle of wine, so I feel like it's going to be okay. The pasta is just about ready. I'm going to take a little pasta water out of here in case we need to add it to the sauce. And then I'm going to shut that down and dump it. I want to, as usual, I'm just going to run a little bit of cold water in there to stop it from cooking. So I'm going to put, I'll put about 3/4 of the pasta in there just in case it ends up being too much. I'm going to add the mushroom, garlic, onion, tomato sauce. Oh my gosh, it's going to be wonderful. We'll stir around a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little dry, so let's add a little bit of that pasta water in there. Excuse me for getting in front of your view. And the cauliflower, add that in there. There we go. A couple more drops of water. We did end up using about a whole teaspoon of the garlic chili sauce, if I didn't say that. And that's about a 1/2 cup of this. What I'm using today is kind of a blend of Romano and Parmesan, which is one of the common things you find at the supermarket. Okay, I've got the basil chopped up. Fold that in. A little bit of fresh parsley. Looks wonderful. It is delicious. Thanks so much for watching.